One of the first places I ever traveled to when I first became an overseas contractor was a place in Central America. The year was 2008, early 2008. I had been on the job for a while as a logistics coordinator for KBR and just got past my first 4 months of working overseas, so I was due my first vacation. I had no idea where I wanted to go, but at that time, I was recommended to go to, Honduras by my coworker at the time, my friend Jose, who is originally from that country. He's a good guy. He suggested that I should go there and visit Roatan Island. I thought to myself, great, because I always wanted to go see a country in South America or south of America. However, I had my doubts. You see, I like to do my research on places I plan to travel to before I arrive there, or just in case if I had to change my mind for any reason. My friend Jose only gave me one serious warning about going to visit Honduras, and that was about going into any mountains. I would find out why. It was because the cartel was known for residing there, and if you was to walk into someone's cocaine field, see something that you was not meant to see, and then nobody would ever see you again, ever again. You would just disappear. So my main objective was to stay away from the mainland of Honduras and make it to the island of Roatan, which was catered to tourists. There it was known to be safe, while the mainland was known to have much crime. So my flight date was coming around, and I boarded my plane. I boarded the plane to fly from Dubai all the way back to America, where my next flights would take me from New York JFK Airport to Miami, Florida Airport, and then from Miami to Honduras. Everything was smooth until I arrived in Honduras. When I touched down in Honduras, it was hot. It was summer weather, so I dressed accordingly. T-shirt, shorts, sneakers, the normal. However, I noticed from the bat in the airport something very wrong. You see, I noticed in the airport several people would stare at me. First, I noticed it with the women watching me, and I thought, cool. But then I noticed the men, and I mean all of the men, including the security, the police, and the military, all mean mugging me. It felt like I was a threat to them. One guy comes along in plain clothes and speaks to me in Latin, which I replied at the time I didn't speak much Latin. I just said I couldn't speak much Latin in Latin. I said, mi habla poquito español. So that's all I had to say. He then spoke to me in English and asked if I was an American. I responded, yes, I am. He then demanded to see my passport and identification as he showed me his badge from the government. I was then taken into a room as they searched my luggage and my bags. I complied without argument or resistance. So when they was done, I received my passport back and all my belongings. The man said to me in a word of advice, he said, cover your tattoos while you are in this country. Tattoos are illegal here, and people will assume that I am in a gang or a part of the cartel. I was shocked, but at the same time, it made sense to me what he was saying. I had to wait for my next day flight to catch a plane from Honduras to Roatan Island, so that meant I had to stay overnight in a hotel. Being that one plane left Honduras every day to go to Roatan Island to pick up and drop off people. So I decided to go try to catch a taxi. I noticed a crowd of people yelling outside of the airport immediately to my left. I heard a man screaming and much commotion going on in the crowd. And then I saw it. The police was beating a man with clubs while searching. They had search dogs, and they were all standing around a vehicle where they were tearing out the seats and throwing out fresh bags of cocaine right onto the ground. I called the taxi to get in and get me out of there quick. Well, I just told him, take me to the closest hotel by the airport, the nearest hotel. So he said, are you sure? The nearest hotel here is in a city called Lima. That is like an hour drive away from here. I said, I don't care, just get me out of here. So I got in the taxi and got some sleep on the way to Lima. So he drove me there, and like I said, it was about an hour away, so I fell asleep. When I woke up, we was in Lima. However, I looked out through the windows, which were tinted, thank God. A way to describe what I saw, it was like if you're from America and you ever watched a movie about South Central LA or Compton, it was kind of like that. I was driving through a neighborhood of homes and houses in a rough-looking area where it looked like guys were just sitting on their front porch, drinking beers, smoking, whatever, getting high. One guy is out there lifting weights on his front porch. It was like a scene straight out of a movie. I'm like, wow, this guy's covered with muscles and tattoos. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, where am I? I'm in the ghetto. Where am I? I'm like, this is a rough-looking neighborhood. And as I'm passing by, these guys are stopping everything they're doing, and they're jumping up to their feet and, standing on their toes, looking at the taxi driving by, trying to see who's inside the taxi. While I'm inside the taxi behind tinted windows so they can't see me, I'm pretty much scrunched all the way down in the back seat like, oh, wow, I don't think I should be here. But anyway, long story short, nothing happened. I made it all the way to the hotel, which was guarded by armed security. It was a gated-off hotel with barbed wire fences, one way in, one way out. Like I said, the guards, they were equipped with AK-47s, what it appeared like. And I'm like, wow. And the guy is saying, this is your hotel, sir. All this and that. So I paid him, and I'm like, man, are you sure? Is this a hotel, or is this like a penitentiary? What is this? But anyway, it was definitely a hotel that catered to, tourists. And they had high measures of security all over the place. So I walk into the hotel, go to the front desk, and I asked them, I want the room for the night. And they acted like they didn't speak any English, so I had to try to say it in my best way I could in Latin at the time that I could. I said, me want una room, una night, like one night, one room. I just want a room. He still kept shaking his head like he didn't understand me. Then I pulled out the money, and all of a sudden they were shaking their heads like, yes, 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 yes. So I guess they understood the language of money. So they put me in the hotel room. I get in there, and I remembered immediately what my friend was also warning me about before I got to Honduras. Any hotel that I stay in, he's like, make sure I lock myself in the room before I go to sleep, lock the door, make sure the doors are locked, the windows are closed, the curtains are closed to the window, so nobody can look in, see what room I'm in or anything like that, because we have people out there that will either try to rob you or set you up in some kind of weird way. And sure enough, I heard a knock at my door in the middle of the night, and I looked through the peephole, and I'm like, yes. And at first they started talking in Latin, and I said, sorry, wrong room, no English, no Spanish, no Latino. And then they started speaking in English. Oh, excuse me, sir, I'm looking for my friend. I was wondering if this was his room, but I'm sorry to disturb you. And I said, okay, fine. I said, no problem. This isn't the room, wrong room. And then she knocks on my door again. I look through the peephole, and then yes, it's a woman. It's a Latina woman from Honduras, and she had huge boobies, like huge. I mean, you couldn't help but look at them. I'm looking out the peephole, and I'm still behind the locked door. So I asked, yes, can I help you? She's like, no, I was wondering, do you want any company for tonight? I politely said no, and I lied to her and told her, I'm sorry, but I'm married. My wife is coming any moment, and I am not that kind. I'm not looking for that kind of time. And I finally got her to walk away. From what I've heard, people were set up by women often. If you open the door, usually there are guys behind her, 5, 6, or 7, and they'll rush into your room, lock the door behind you, and they'll demand you pay them money or give you all their money as they rob you. So I wasn't taking any chances when it came to that in the mainland. So I remember later on that night, before I went to sleep, I ended up emailing my friend that I was working with that recommended me to Honduras, and I told him what had happened, and he said, oh, man, you're in Lima? Oh, man, why are you there? You're in the hood, Holmes. I'm like, dude, well, it was nice for you to warn me about all this, especially the part that I'm not supposed to have tattoos, all this, that. You could have told me that before I got on the plane and came here. He's like, oh, yes, I'm sorry. They'll just confuse you as a gang member, but you'll be all right. Just cover your tattoos and you'll be fine. When you make it to the island, you'll be okay. Trust me. And I was like, okay. Anyway, after getting on the plane the very next day, after having a nice little breakfast, I got onto the plane, made it back to the airport, caught my plane, and I was flying from Honduras over to Roatan Island. They put me on this very, I can't describe this plane. It was a very small plane, had chickens in the back of it and all that, and here we are flying over the mountains and everything, and the plane is shaking, and I feel the turbulence, and I'm like, God, I hope this plane doesn't go down. But anyway, it was a good flight. I made it all the way offshore, flew over the ocean, straight to the island, and landed in the airport of Roatan. And from there, everything became beautiful. And I'm telling you, when I say beautiful, it was just beautiful. The first girl I met on the island from Roatan, I was catching a taxi from one side of the island to the other to get to a place that my friend recommended me to stay at called the Yacht Club. This hotel was ran completely by women, with the exception of the security guard guarding the front gate to the place and the guy that cleans the pool. Everyone else was all female. The cook, the chambermaid, the manager, I mean, everyone else, they were all women. The bartender, they were all females, and they all looked attractive. The insides of the hotel room looked like it was all made out of bamboo stick or whatever, surrounded by palm trees, and you had an overview of the ocean and all the ships sailing in. I mean, it had a pool, it had everything you could think of, internet cafe, computers you could use, and whatever you needed, just ask, and a female would come show up at your room and tend to your needs. And I was like in paradise. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was in paradise. I managed somehow to become very friendly with the owner of the place, who was also a female. Apparently, she was widowed. The original owner was her husband, who was most likely a foreigner, and something happened to him, which was apparently public knowledge on the island. It was in the newspapers that he had been murdered, and He left everything to her, the whole business, the property, everything. This girl was young, like maybe early 20s, and she was the boss of all the other girls in the place. So there I am at the yacht club on Roatan Island in Honduras, in a hotel run completely by women. And the cook and the bartender actually liked me. They actually took turns fighting over me. And, the cook, she ended up kissing me up on the high range, overlooking the sea. And the bartender, she wanted to take me out all the time to the disco clubs, or they call them the discotheques, where they played hip hop and everything like that. I was having a good time either way with both of them. But anyway, I spent a lot of time on that island. There was only like another group of Americans there, a wife and a husband, but they were very old, retired, had their own yacht. So they invited me out to go over to another island. I forgot the name of the island, but it'll come back to me. I think it was Fantasy Island or something like that. Had little monkeys on it and all that. It was real cute and everything. And we came back, and I spent a lot of my time chilling with Vanessa, the cook. And she cooked me some good food every day. And when I wasn't with her, I was with the bartender. So at some point, it all came to a head, and they didn't like each other. And but I still stayed in good relationship contact with the bartender. She is now married and living in America, and we're still friends that contact each other on Facebook every once and again. But other than that, I was having a very fantastic time there, and one day I'll probably consider going back again. I just want to avoid the mainland because on my way back out, leaving Roatan Island, I came back to that same hotel waiting for my flight the next day, and I found out the couple had been robbed there. They stopped at a red light on a part of town somewhere in Honduras where the cops had no control, and the cops just said, just let it go. Whatever they took from you, you won't get it back, but at least you have your lives. At least they didn't take their lives, because basically, they don't want to kill you. They just want to rob you, and they want to see you come back. But other than that, it is a positive experience. If you ever go to Honduras, you just got to beware of the crime that's there. And that's all I got for the day. So, guys, stay safe out there wherever you travel. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you.